Hi and welcome back. Today we are going to be practicing how to create three-dimensional optical illusions, and we'll be using lines primarily to create the illusion of three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. Some materials you might need are a pencil. Well, you'll definitely need a pencil, an eraser in case you make a mistake, and then it might be a good idea to have a ruler nearby. It's not necessary, but it could be helpful if you're concerned about your lines being perfect. I'll be demonstrating with both. And remember, if you don't have a ruler, you can always use something else that also has a straight edge to it too. So I'll be using this back of a notepad. So these activities, we're going to start with the simplest one first, and then we'll be building. We'll be doing 4 different drawing activities. And the first one is how to create a chasm or a deep crack, which is a great strategy if you want to create the illusion of a canyon or a dramatic landscape. So we're going to start at the top of our page with our pencil, and we're going to draw a zigzag line going down, and then a zigzag line across from it going down. And your zigzag line doesn't have to be the exact same as mine. You can make yours however you want it. So let's draw. So there we go. We have 2 zigzag lines across from each other. And now what we're going to be doing, very similar to what we did in our 1-point perspective activity, is we're going to be connecting the points of these lines and drawing to a line that just goes straight down. And I recommend starting at the bottom of your page and working your way up. So you can use a ruler, and I'll show you if you want to make your lines perfectly straight. Take whatever you're using as a straight edge and line it up right next to the first point. And then you're going to carefully just draw a line straight down like that. If you don't have a ruler, you can easily just do the same thing. But now if you draw a line and it hits another line, you'll want to stop. And that will create the sense of overlapping, which is a great strategy that we use to create the illusion of depth or 3 dimensions on a 2-dimensional surface. And so I'm just going to work my way up and draw my lines down. And it's a simple strategy. Just find that point, draw down until you meet another line. If you don't meet another line, your line might go completely off the bottom of the page, which is okay. Connecting each little point. So as you can see, I've created the illusion of a deep chasm or crack by just connecting every point to a straight line by drawing down from that point until it hits a line. Now you can also take it a step further. Maybe there's somebody rappelling on the edge of your cliff. Maybe there's a branch coming out with a bird's nest. So this is your chance to add any extra details. Maybe your crack surface, or I guess the cliff surface has a texture on it, just like that. So those details you can add on your own. Let's move on to our next drawing. Our next drawing, we're going to use straight lines with curves to create the illusion of a hump or maybe a worm type shape. And so we're going to be practicing controlling our lines. We're going to be drawing parallel lines, and then they'll have a bump in them. And so it'll take a lot of concentration. So first thing is I'm going to start at the bottom of my page, maybe about 1.5 inches off the bottom. And I'm going to draw a straight line, or as straight as I can, and just a little bump here, and a little bump here. And then it keeps going. The next line is going to start right on top, or right about maybe the length of my pencil lead. And it's going to go across, but then as I get to a certain area near the bump, I'm going to make it start and then maybe stop a little closer. And you can decide how big you want your bump to be by deciding when to start and stop the hump. So we're just going to work our way up the page. There's no rules to how those bumps look. If you notice, if I start my bump far away and end it close, it'll start creating the sense of direction that my bump will go. So you can control that based on how much space you put between your humps. They can even touch and then go far away on the other side, or start really far away and then get really close. So you can work at your own pace and practice controlling your lines and creating your bumps. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just practicing our line control. There's no expectation. I'll do this last line. See how now it's hitting the other bump, so it's creating a sense of overlapping. And then that next bump can just start right there. So by controlling this space, by creating this more regular space versus this variety of space between lines, I create a sense that there's a three-dimensional hump emerging from these somewhat parallel lines. And you can go all the way up your page if you want to. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to practice making just a square hole, okay? So you're going to want to draw a slanted square. So I'll draw a line that's diagonal, and then a line that's horizontal, and then a line that's parallel to this one and also diagonal, or as parallel as I can get it. And then if you do want to use your ruler, if straight lines are a concern of yours, you can always use your ruler as well, which I'll do for this line, and then connect that right there. So I've got kind of a slanted square. And then from here, just like our cliffside, I'm going to draw a line that goes straight down from this corner here. I'm going to ignore these corners and just draw this corner, just like that. And then I'm going to draw a bunch of parallel lines that are parallel to this line. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then lines that are parallel to this line. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that creates the sense that this space goes deep down because of this overlapping. And if you want to draw a curve, it could look like it's a square hole within a round or curved shape or space. That's a pretty quick one. And then our last one is a little more complicated. And you might want to use a ruler, and I'll be demonstrating it with or without a ruler as well, or a straight edge. The first thing you'll want to do is create two lines that intersect. So you're going to draw a vertical line first, and then a horizontal line trying to go through what looks like the middle of your vertical line. And try to make your lines the same length if you can. You can add a little bit if you need to. Remember, precision isn't the most important right now. We're just practicing strategies. And then from here, I'm going to make little dashes I'm going to try to keep the space between them the same, like when I was drawing my parallel lines for my worm humps. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8's a great number. So I'll draw 8 going down. And it is important to draw the same amount of points going out from each line. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And what we're going to do is we are going to connect the top dash to the first dash here, and then the second to the second, and the third to the third, and the fourth to the fourth, and so on. In this first one, I'm going to use a straight edge. So this is great because this helps us practice our stabilizing hand. So I'm going to make sure that my straight edge lines up with the top point, and then also lines up with that first point I want to connect it to. Just like that. And then I'll move the second to the second. Takes a lot of control. You do want to try to line it up the best that you can. The third to the third. Fourth to the fourth. And so now I've created this curved shape that has a checkerboard as well. And so now I'm going to do the same, but this point's going to connect to this one, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to give my curves, or give my lines a little bit of a curve and see how it changes. Just like that. So now you notice these curves give it a little bit more of a pillow or bulging shape versus the smooth curve created by the straighter lines. The next one, I'm actually going to use some colored markers and change and alternate. So if you have any color pencils or some markers, you can use those. My friend sent me these in the mail for my birthday, so I want to experiment with them on this drawing activity. And I'm going to use my straight edge again, but each line is going to be a different color, and we'll see how that looks. So remember, first point on the end goes to the first point toward the front of the horizontal. Would you look at that? Look how colorful each one of those lines are. So let's all do our last one together. You can use whatever kinds of color or straight or curved lines you like. And once you've completed all of your sections, another fun extra challenge is maybe trying to create a checkerboard. So if you shade in squares that touch corners, you can create a three-dimensional bending checkerboard. And there we have it. I I also like this activity because when we're connecting lines, it takes our eyes off our pencil and makes us look further, which is a great strategy that artists use when they're drawing from observation. It's important to remember to look up and take your eyes off your pencil occasionally, and you'll find that your eyes can guide your pencil sometimes without even looking at it. I hope you enjoyed today's drawing activities, and you can practice these more on your own. And until next time, keep drawing. Bye.